Hi boys and girls, welcome to science class. Today we are going to go over a PowerPoint together and you're going to watch while I explain all of our new big vocab words and new scientific topics. So we're going to be learning about animal adaptations. It's one of my favorite lessons that we do during the school year. This is going to bring us about to the end and we're going to go into all different types of the lives of animals, and I hope you guys really enjoy it. So, what is an adaptation? Well, an adaptation is a physical or behavioral characteristic that has developed to help an organism survive in its environment. So, a lot of big words in there. Basically, an adaptation is when an animal changes. It's a characteristic, okay, that the animal has so that they can change to survive in its environment. Okay, so for example, plants and animals in open spaces have different adaptations, okay, than living animals in a forest. So animals that live in a forest are very, very different than animals that live in a desert. They change differently because they have adapted to their environment. Physical adaptations. A physical adaptation is a change made to a part of the body. So think about it. Physical, the body is changing, okay? So in open spaces, grasses can blend in with strong winds. So grassland animals have coverings to blend in with the grass. These animals may be able to run fast or have a shovel-like paws for burrowing. Living things in forests have physical adaptations to live in and around trees. Vines can climb up trees to reach sunlight they need, and many forest animals can grip branches. Why would an animal that lives in a forest need to be able to climb trees? Think about it. And animals that live in a grassland might need to blend in, right, with the grass, or be able to run fast because they have open land. So they change due to its environment. So physical adaptation is when the body changes. Then we have camouflage. Oops. Camouflage is a visual disguise. So you guys have probably heard of this. So all of my 4th grade girls, whenever we wear camo, we always make jokes. Where are your shoes, right? So camouflage is a visual disguise. It's when the color of an animal changes to look like its surrounding. So you'll see in this picture, this lizard, it's blending in with its environment. I want you to think of a reason why animals might use camouflage. Think about it. We're going to be doing some examples of camouflage in some upcoming activities. Mimicry. Mimicry is really cool. Oops, I'm trying to move this over. So, mimicry is when the animal is looking or sounding like another living organism. They basically copycat another animal to fool their predators, okay? So one of my favorite examples, and you're gonna watch a video on it eventually, is this butterfly. So there is a beautiful butterfly that mimics another butterfly. So they know that their predator really likes the taste of them. So they mimic themselves to look like another type of butterfly so that their predator won't want to eat them. So a lot of times animals use mimicry or copycat another animal so that their predator, the animal trying to get them, stays away. It's a way to disguise. Then we have chemical defenses. So chemical defenses is when the animals use venom or sprays for defense. So you'll see in this picture a skunk. What does a skunk use as a chemical defense? We can read right here, a skunk sprays to defend itself from predators. Their spray produces a chemical that contains sulfur and the smell really stinks. So if you've ever smelled a skunk, it does not smell pretty. And then we have body coverings and parts. So body coverings and parts are examples like sharp claws, feathers, large beaks, fur, scales, wings. All still physical adaptations, right? It's a part of their body. So if we look at the picture of the crab, a crab's hard shell protects it from predators, drying out and being crushed by waves. So you might have not have known that a crab has a physical adaptation of their hard shell to protect them when they're constantly in and out of the water. Then we have our next type of adaptation, and this is called a behavioral adaptation. So we started with physical, now we're at behavioral. A behavioral adaptation is something an animal does, how it acts to stay alive. So before, we were talking about adaptations for animals that were already on their body, right? They were physical parts of their body. Behavioral is how an animal behaves, okay? So it's how they act to stay alive. So examples, when an animal is able to eat, moving to warmer or colder climates, and pretending to be injured to lure a predator away from the young. So I know this is going to get a little cut off, but there's two different types of behavioral adaptations, okay? So it says, let's divide behavioral adaptations into two groups. There's instinctive and there's learned. Okay. Instinctive, have you ever heard the word instinct? They're behaviors that happen naturally. They don't have to be learned. So it's a behavior or an action that the animal was born with. Okay, they don't need to practice it. They don't have to learn it. They didn't learn it in class. Okay, they were born with it. A learned behavioral adaptation is different. Okay, it's just as it sounds. These behaviors are taught through observation and experiencing their environment. Okay, so learned behaviors can change over time because of global warming or natural disasters. Okay, environments change. Instinctive is what you're born with, learned is what you learn over time, but they're both behavioral adaptations. So let's talk about instinctive behavior. So they are behaviors that happen naturally. They don't need to be learned. So some examples of these are finding ways to gather food, finding shelter, raising the young, defending oneself, hibernating when an animal sleeps during the cold days of winter, or migrating is when animals travel long trips to find warmer weather, food supplies, and a safe place to give birth to their young. So you can see the picture of the chipmunk hibernating in the winter and birds migrating. So hibernating and migrating are both instinct behaviors. So let's think about us as humans. We are animals, right? We're mammals. We have a lot of instinctive behavior. Think about a young baby. When it's hungry, what does it do? It cries. When it's sad, when a baby's sad, what does he or she do? Cries. That's an instinctive behavior to grab somebody's attention, right? It's what you do. Your body kind of didn't need to learn it. It just was an instinct. Think about something else that humans might just be instinctive. Think about temperature. When we're hot, right? We don't want a ton of layers on. And when we're cold, we shiver. Or when we're hot, we sweat. So those are instinctive behaviors. They happen naturally and they don't have to be learned. So here's another instinctive behavior example. So when a baby sea turtle hatches, it instinctively knows how to dig its way through the sand. So cute. Now we're going to talk about learned behaviors, and this is an example. Do you think these tigers are really fighting? Well, they're not. By playing, these tigers are learning moves that will help them become successful predators as adults. So even though they're playing and they're learning how to protect themselves, right? You're not born with this type of courage or born with this type of strength. So even as a human, we think about, people or humans with very large muscles, right? Some people are born obviously a little bit more sculpt, but that's a learned behavior, right? To train your body to be so strong and full of muscle and then to fight back. We might naturally have defensive skills, but the best fighters probably practice. So that's our examples, okay? That's our little mini lesson for today. So now that we've finished that, I have a couple videos that you're going to watch about some of these different ideas, okay? The next couple of days you're going to be completing some activities. If you have any questions about this PowerPoint, let me know. You can also re-watch this video over and over again so that you don't miss anything. Great job!